The cloud. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the It's Bigger Than Business podcast. I'm very excited to welcome on Avery Smith to the podcast. Avery, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Manny.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, Avery and I met in Miami when I first got here. I went to a Black Men Talk Tech conference. We hooped on the 19th floor in a building in Brickell. And it was really a beautiful, beautiful event. A few of the founders, Black men, have raised millions of dollars actually since then. Well, two of them I know for sure. And just, it's been a very good event. So Avery, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Avery Smith, as you said. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I currently live in Maryland. So I grew up between Brooklyn, New York, and Prince George's County, Maryland. And I went to college in Baltimore, Maryland. I went to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, and graduated. Actually, I went to school way back in the ancient days. I went back in the late 1900s, as they say. So I went to college in 1998, and I graduated 5 years later in 2003. And while I was in school, I developed an interest in web development, computer programming, and graphic design. And I was able to merge the two skills into being a creative technologist. So that's pretty much like my foundation.
Wow. So you talk about that. You got started very early, right? 2003. So what are some of the changes that you've seen, in the tech industry and how it relates to you and what you're working on and what you're inspired by?
Yeah, sure. I could do that. So while I graduated in 2003, I wrote my first HTML code in 1999. And
wow.
Yeah. So I worked on my website the same year the first Matrix came out. And I mean, you probably have a really young audience. A lot of people haven't even seen the first Matrix, if you can believe that. But
well, no, we got a immediate kind of audience. We have some. Shout out to my 50 plus crowd that I know is tuning in too, but I think we have a pretty older audience, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. So people know about the Matrix. So when Neo hit the screen, that's when I hit the screen, so to speak. I was coding, okay. And what happened was that I was an art major and I had a roommate who was a chemical engineering major. And one day I came into the room, he was working on his computer and he showed me his very own website. And prior to that, I didn't care anything about the internet, websites. I didn't even check the email that they gave us at school. I just didn't really care that much. But when he showed me his site, I was floored because I was like, whoa, you're able to put something together that you can put pictures and words and anybody in the world can see it right now. He was like, yeah. So at that point, I saw the connection between me being an art major and the internet. I was like, I'm looking around this big portfolio. I could just throw my images on, I can put my portfolio online and anybody in the world can see it. And so he showed me this book called The Idiot's Guide to HTML. And I locked myself in the room. And the next day I had my own website. So that's how it started. And then I went from coding websites for myself and using like Tripod and Microsoft. It was called like photo editor. I was like making my own logos and big drop shadows and glowing and embossing and debossing, all this stuff. And I would make websites for myself. Then it went to making websites for organizations on campus, to getting internships and working co-ops. And I think that's what it's called, co-op. It's been so long. And from there, as I graduated, I saw the potential of combining web design with computer programming. And I really wanted to really understand like how that worked, how to make really complex web applications. And so I began to study that. And when I graduated, because I had a degree in graphic design, I could have went a traditional print graphic design route, but the potential that I saw at the internet back in 2000, upon graduation in 2003, I felt like I was at the beginning of, let's say, the Gutenberg press, when the books started to be able to be published in the 16th century. That's what I saw the internet. So I saw the internet as that. So I said to myself, well, if I go the internet route and it doesn't work out, I could always do print. But if it does work out, then I would be a pioneer. And fortunately, it worked out. And so I was doing UX and UI and all this stuff, and creative web development prior to even having a title. I have a big background in Flash development and Flash design. So a lot of that stuff really carries over to today.
Wow, it does. And I've done some stuff with HTML and Flash coding. It's extremely important for sure. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I got a little document here to kind of help with that, because I actually have to commit this to memory as part of my assignment in an accelerator program I'm in. So,
okay.
As I said, my name is Avery Smith, and actually I am a widower. So I lost my wife to skin cancer, and I also have 2 decades of software engineering experience. And what I want is every person with questions about Black skin issues to get satisfactory answers quickly and inexpensively. I've worked alongside the US White House, the National Science Foundation, and the American Medical Association to create web apps and conduct research to help solve critical problems. And what I want the goal of this conversation to be is for all of us to demand for improved Black skin health resources. And the reason why I think you should listen to me, I think you should trust me, is because I exist at the junction of caregiving and software engineering. And also I have Black skin, which equips me with the insight of how to drastically improve Black skin health outcomes. And so, yeah, what I want from the listeners here is to check out the software that I'm working on to solve this problem. It's called Melalogic, Melalogic. And you can find it at melalogic.com. And yeah, please share it with a friend and a family member. And I'm sure we'll get into more of that throughout the conversation.
Yeah, no, and congratulations on, being in the accelerator and really kind of working on this idea. And I'm sorry for your loss, brother. I lost my sister to a rare form of cancer as well. Rhabdomyosarcoma. And a lot of people heard about Virgil, Abloh. He had angiosarcoma. So his, affected him in the heart, and it's, my sister, it kind of affected her nerves. And it's aggressive cancer that really, they have no answers for, really. And it's a very aggressive cancer. So, I just, any issue, I'm passionate about promoting any issue, just about improving health and wellness, and really specifically, talking about cancer and just all of the terrible things that we put in our body, that accelerate this sometimes. And I don't know too much about skin cancer as well, too. So I'm a novice as well. I think, we hear Black people, we say, oh, hey, we got melanin. I think it's a kind of almost a concern. It might be something that we're ignorant about, I think. So happy to hear more about your experience, in building Melalogic and what you've encountered.
Sure, yeah, for sure. I'm sorry for your loss as well. I remember you shared that with me before, and my heart goes out to you. You know, life, life is it can be very difficult. Uh, but I'm glad that you're able to find the tools, at least from what I can observe, to be able to cope and to be able to still make a life. And and as far as what the journey has been like, well, it took me a while to get to the point of wanting to actually come out and be open about this. I always wanted to uh I always wanted to continue my wife's legacy because her legacy is my legacy. uh but it probably took me about 5 years to really, yes, 5 or 6 years to really kind of like settle into, okay, this is what I'm doing. She passed away. Well, we got married in 2008, and about a year or so into our marriage, she was doing her hair. She had really long locks down to her waist, and she had found a mole, a raised mole at the base of one of her locks, on the front right side of her forehead, or front left. I can't remember which side it was, but we found it, got a biopsy, came back positive for melanoma. And I was a caregiver for about 18 months until she passed away on December 9th of 2011. That year, we also lost our child because she was pregnant. And so it was a very difficult time, certainly a momentous occasion in my life and in the life of my family, her parents, her brother, her cousins, and so on and so forth. It was very difficult. But I always knew I wanted to. Her story wasn't over. So anyway, I worked on something else previously, another kind of app where it was something that was cool. It was actually about cataloging hairstyles, and I worked on that for about 3 years, or 4 years rather, from 2013 to 2016. But I couldn't really get it off the ground, and I felt like I followed all of the things in which that mainstream this startup education tells you. Lean canvas, create an MVP, get users. I was doing all of these things. I had all that stuff, but yeah, I still couldn't get the support that I thought I was going to be able to get. And at that point in time, in 2016, I realized that there must be different information that exists than what's mainstream out here that you can read on a Hacker News blog, or a blog from Steve Blank or Y Combinator. There's got to be something else, because I followed everything that they said, and it wasn't working. And so anyway, funny enough, I got some information that was very critical to where I am now. I was at an event where I was telling them about an idea that I had for being able to discover skin issues through photography. And so they had shared with me, well, yeah, like that's actually, I said I had an idea about hair issues because I was cataloging hairstyles, to take a photo, catalog, and a phone be able to detect what kind of hairstyle somebody has. And they was like, yeah, all you have to do is A, B, and C. It's possible. But at that point in time, I didn't realize it was so possible. And when I learned that, my mindset opened up, and I said, well, this hairstyle thing hadn't been working anyway. Let me see if I can do more of a skin thing. So I shut down that business, and then I started to focus in on the skin thing, started trying to focus it on Black skin. And I kind of hit pay dirt, because I knew from my experience being a caregiver, the lack of research that existed. And so as I started to get confirmation from the medical community at large that I was onto something, I realized that, okay, this I'm truly about to solve a critical problem that exists in the world. So that's kind of how I got here.
It's critically a critical problem. So I know we're going to share this Melalogic with the community and how they can get involved. You told me about this accelerator. You want to talk a little bit about that? Is that a national accelerator? I know you're in the DC area.
Yeah.
I saw you share a report yesterday about, like 500 million, to 10 companies for a federal contract. So, it seems like you got your hand in a few things, in this industry. So maybe if you could give us a good update.
Yeah, man, I'd love to. So I'm part of the Conscious Venture Lab, which is an accelerator program that is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. And the Conscious Venture Lab is in its 8th cohort out of about 170, 180 applications. My application was included in the 30 that they selected to be part of cohort 8. And
Congrats.
Thank you, man. It's 16 weeks long. We have 7 weeks to go. So I'm in my 9th week right now. And the CVL focuses on conscious capitalism. Their goal is to help invest and scale in companies that are focused on providing value, not just for financial shareholders, but also for all stakeholders that are affected by the existence of that company. So customers, employees, vendors and suppliers, the community at large, competitors, the environment, the government, media, so on and so forth. If you can provide wins or value propositions throughout all these different constituencies, then you are more likely to fulfill the thesis of the Conscious Venture Lab. So fortunately, they believe that what we're doing with Melalogic has extreme value. And the really cool thing about the companies that practice conscious capitalism, according to the CVL, is that these companies actually, they outperform many times over Fortune 500 companies. So I'm learning a whole lot going through this process, and it really is revolutionizing my approach to business.
I love it. I love it. I'm excited to stay up to date with you. And so it seems like you got 16, my math isn't good. So you got 9 more weeks left.
7 more.
Like.
7 more
7
weeks.
more weeks. Okay.
Mind you never to use you as my accountant, but it's all right. Hey, I'm not going to use me as my accountant, so it's all good.
Yeah. I don't use me as my accountant. Yeah. So, awesome. Well, Avery, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast. I'm gonna remind folks how they can get in touch with you. Melalogic.com. We'll be sharing that throughout. And any final closing thoughts for the community?
Yeah, sure. I would say, hey, as a quote, my favorite quote, no bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings. So that means that your limits are just that, your limits, not anybody else's. So I would encourage people to fly and fly in their authentic selves.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great day.